The Mutants is an episode that I don't think I had heard of before, or at least not enough to remember actually hearing about it, and ultimately that kind of makes sense because this story doesn't do anything all that remarkable. It has some quite nifty ideas that it toys with and develops a little bit, but they never come into anything particularly meaningful in the end. We start with the premise that the Doctor is given a message from the Time Lords to deliver. Neither he nor us know exactly what that message is, as it will only open when given to the right person, but we are assured that it is very important. Now, this is a 6-part story, and this is one of the ones where I definitely feel that it doesn't need to be. It does have a decent amount going on. We're 2,000 years in the future on a planet with the titular mutants, some military-looking types in a skybase, and some people native to the planet who are being controlled, and their planet has basically been largely taken from them. There's also the Doctor and Joe, there's a big ignorant military guy, 2 scientists, and just a lot of things going on in here, and I didn't even mention all of them. So it might feel like this needs to be a larger story, but in truth, it really doesn't. This serial spends a lot of time doing stuff that is either kind of interesting or not very interesting, and ultimately what that results in is a story that feels rather uninteresting and drawn out. The design of the mutants isn't particularly inventive. It kind of looks like a big bug, but that's not really much of a complaint because it worked fine for me. It was just a rather simplistic design, but it worked. And I might seem like I'm being quite negative about this one, but I did kind of like it. It was an enjoyable story and I had some fun watching it. The Doctor's entertaining. He gets easily frustrated at people for not being as quick as he is.
They were found with a mutt. They must be saboteurs.
Oh, don't be a fool. If we were saboteurs, that'd be a bomb, and thanks to you, we'd all be blown to smithereens by now.
He has good chemistry with Joe, and he's just fun.
For your information, it's well past lunchtime, and I'm...
Yeah? Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear.
Lunch?
No.
Bomb?
No, nothing so exciting.
Although, as I've said before, I do find the Doctor to be just a little bit too violent for me in this incarnation.
Goodbye.
I think I just prefer when, he solves things with his mind as opposed to getting physically violent with people. That's the take on the character that I prefer. Although I still like Jo, I don't feel that she does much in this story other than have good chemistry with the Doctor. And even that, there's a lot of time when they're not on screen together, so that's not even a factor in this one. And there are a number of things I could get into, but there's one main thing I want to talk about, and it's kind of a spoiler. If you don't want spoilers, then you can skip the time as shown on screen, and if you don't mind, then let's talk about Kai. So at the end of episode 1, we find that one of the people native to this island, Kai, is the person the Time Lords intended the message for, and the message is these tablets that lead the Doctor and one of the scientists to learn that the seasons of the planet are 500 years long, and that the mutants are a natural part of the species so as to survive the change in seasons. So anyway, we get to the end of episode 6, having learnt all this, and while the tablets are somewhat important, it's not totally clear why they need to be delivered to Kai, why the box can't be opened by anyone else. And towards the very, very end of the story, everything needs to be resolved. And while there's not a ton to fix and resolve, there is a bit. And the way everything is concluded is absolutely baffling. If you haven't seen this serial, you're not going to believe what you're about to see.
But can he get us out?
There is little I cannot do now. Kai thanks you, Professor Sondergaard. You have saved my people.
So what happens is Kai evolves into some kind of godlike being. Using the rock that they found earlier, he takes all of the radiation and somehow uses it to evolve himself into a god. And this is actual footage from the episode where Kai can now basically do whatever he wants. He can float through walls, basically do everything, and very quickly fixes the situation. So this is basically the definition of a Deus Ex Machina ending. It comes out of absolutely nowhere, fixes everything, and makes absolutely no sense. It's really bad writing, and ultimately tarnishes what could have been a better story. And the thing about this is that not only does it not make sense within the story, it, absolutely is out of nowhere, but it tonally clashes. It's going for this weird sort of godlike Jesus imagery thing, and it doesn't fit within the rest of what we're getting, so it just doesn't work here. If the story had been doing things that kind of alluded to this, or was in that kind of a style, then you could get away with something like this. Because in a story like The Daemons, then it's in this specific style, so when they do things like have this gargoyle come to life, it's a part of the style of that story. It's what they're going for, but this one really feels like it's out of nowhere, so it just absolutely doesn't work. But I think the reason that this doesn't make me really angry at all is because I wasn't invested in this story all that much. If this had been a great serial and ended with something really dumb like that, I would be much more frustrated, but as it is, I can live with it. Overall, I found The Mutants to be an enjoyable story with some rather good ideas that just never fully came together. The main cast does a pretty good job, Pertwee in particular, but sadly the ending is absurd enough that it does end this story on a sour note. This is an enjoyable if forgettable serial of Doctor Who, and I'm going to give The Mutants a rating of 6.75 out of 10. Feel free to leave your thoughts on The Mutants down below if you feel like doing so, and if not, that's absolutely fine. I do hope to see you around this upcoming Sunday for a review of The Time Monster, the Season 9 finale, which I definitely have some thoughts on, and if you do not join me for that, then that is absolutely fine, so long as you know that I appreciate your time here today. And with that said, thank you very much for watching, take care, and have a lovely week.